What's going on, everybody? This is episode 4 of Apple Advisory. This is your host, Mike Baker, and always with me is my guy, Mike Bennett.
What's going on, everybody?
Uh, Today's topics, we shall be talking about good group of topics today. First topic is going to be that Apple lashed out at the EU in a fierce court battle, saying that its $14 billion tax order defies reality and common sense. I mean, you can tell when somebody is heated because they just starts blurting out crazy, like, "Yo, that defies reality, common sense." Like, like, what are you talking about? Like 14 billion?
Are you serious? You gotta be kidding me. This guy.
Next article that we got is talking about how the Apple Watch has saved a grandma's life by catching her heart condition. Um, that's a win for Apple. I mean, and that's a definite like marketable pitch, and that's not an Apple article, so that's good for Apple. Like that's not them
It's
just
not loaded.
yeah, man. They not just like beating their own drum. It's coming from some type of source that's credible. Like they feeling them. They not just feeling themselves. This is legit. And last article that we're gonna have is why Apple iPhones may be banned from Russia next year. A little leeway about how they're already been banned in China, but how the potential of it could essentially happen with Russia. Um, I mean, they're both countries about being, heartland countries, similar to America. They're about their dominance, and I can totally understand why. But with this first article about Apple lashing out on the EU because of this fierce court battle that they're having, essentially the EU has just basically they've been going hard with their fights against the technology sector for like the past at least 3-4 years. Particularly the latest thing that I really know about is the whole GDPR thing, where um, they make it so that the amount of data that a company is collecting on a person can be like quantified and measured and allowed to be like pulled out of a system potentially, um, mostly with the EU. So mostly like if it's a European resident or European citizen, GDPR essentially applies to them. But because these are international companies, essentially the same rules that they set for the European standards, they just went across the board and just set them for everybody in the world. So like when everybody starts seeing these recent pop-ups talking about how um, this data is now tracking them. This site is now tracking them. You're being monitored this way. Do you allow for GDPR? Do you allow for tracking and all of this? All of that has really happened because of that thing that happened with the EU. And what the EU is going at with this particular article is just they're talking about taxes and tax evasion for the most part. And a lot of companies are at fault for this, but particularly Apple. Google is at fault for this too, but in this case, this article is about Apple and how they just basically have used every incentive possible. And I mean, I don't even want, I just thought about Amazon, and how they basically pay no taxes. I mean,
Nothing. I don't know what type of
um,
magic they got going on over there, bro. But
yeah, they got
yeah.
number games over there. They do some good number games over there in the business sector. They got good accountants over there. But in this case, they're talking about how Apple has been able to essentially evade um, dealing with taxes in the EU. And part of that issue is the fact that when you are evading, or if you're trying to find a way to not have to pay your taxes, then that means that this these companies called countries don't make money.
Companies called country. Yeah,
I
there
mean,
you
like
go. I
that's I
like the way
mean,
you put that. Yeah.
yeah, that's how they get all their money is basically through taxation. taxation with representation.
with representation.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like that's how they get their dough. And for if you're an individual, you get taxed no problem. Like it's already in the things that you buy. Like,
Well, yeah. You
it's
want some
already.
chips? There you go.
I mean, it's already taken out of your paycheck when you get it. I mean, so like they tax us no problem, but like when it comes to companies, they when it comes to like even small businesses, like they rely on you. Like you do your W-2s at the end of the year. If you're doing your W-2s, hopefully you're doing your W-2s, but like
Uh,
you're ideally doing them at the end of the year or your 1090s.
yeah,
Um,
1099s and all of that.
yeah, like however you're paying your taxes, hopefully you're at least writing something in there.
Yeah.
Um,
You can try to skate past everything.
yeah, it doesn't have to be fully
They,
accurate.
they'll
I'm
they'll
not.
find you though.
I'm not giving advice on tax
Oh
on
yeah,
on.
yeah. This is no legal or tax
Yeah, yeah,
advice or
yeah,
anything
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. No,
So
no, no,
like
no.
me telling you ain't gotta be accurate. Don't listen to me. But at
Yeah.
least if you're putting some information in there, that's better than nothing. But in the case of companies like Apple, they are not putting in legit information, at
Yeah.
least enough to say where they are. I mean, in a lot of cases, it comes from like
They at least
their
dodging 14 billion.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because they try to open up offices in certain locations just so that they can say that they're doing business in this location, but they're not necessarily doing certain parts of business in there. So like because they get manufacturing done in China, they don't necessarily have to pay the same tax in America for the manufacturing part of the business.
Mhm.
And they're able to get it done cheaper over there. They get taxed cheaper over there in comparison to what they would get over here. And the same thing when it comes to
Samuel ain't playing. He gonna hit what I think 25% at least.
yeah,
Samuel, he gonna, gonna
yeah,
get his
yeah,
cut.
yeah,
He
yeah,
find out he
exactly.
cutting corners.
Exactly. I mean, and it's all of them essentially, like, because it's import and export taxing. Like they all got to get their cut. And Samuel got like Uncle Richard over
Yeah,
there.
right. Yeah.
I mean, whatever their version of Uncle Sam is. I mean, they got the European version of Uncle Sam over there waiting to get his little pence and pennies too. I mean, like so, like they the countries collaborate with each other when it comes to the tax crossover and how things are supposed to be dealt with when export comes out or another export comes into a country and how those things are taxed and they're dealt with accordingly through accounting on that level. But like they find ways to evade dealing with taxation based on where you're actually represented. And that's the issue is like if they're saying they're in another country doing certain parts of the business over here, how is that taxable over here if they're only doing another section of the business over on this part of the country? And like at what point do they say, oh, this country's rules apply for taxation across the board of the whole of the country of the company? Like if
I think they probably just prioritize. All right, man. So their primary. So Apple's primary buyer is where? Is it the Americas? Is it Europe? Is it? I think they
it's
probably going to
America and Europe,
prioritize.
that's
Yeah.
those are one and two is America and
I,
Europe. They
I I think you put America as number one. I think it just comes down to priority, right? So I think we naturally, because it's people that run these companies, meaning that people make decisions for the companies. You know what I mean? And somebody just probably made the decision like, we're gonna put that on the back burner, right? I mean, that just
yeah.
happens. Like, we'll get back to that, but the getting back to it is what the EU is pushing for. I just want to know, who the article says it said defies reality and common sense. I want to know who made that statement. Like,
Uh
who said that?
let me
I
see
died
'cause
laughing. I heard that.
I don't think that was I think it was might have been their chief financial officer. I don't think it was like Tim Cook. I don't think it was like him just walling out, even though I can imagine just saying the same exact thing.
I know it ain't Phil. He's definitely benched right now. Phil Schiller,
They
something
give
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's not saying nothing else. He's not
that.
saying a thing else, no, not for the next year and a half. They don't necessarily say who said it, they just said the US company said or said the US company. Um, but they don't
Defies
necessarily
reality.
specify who's the one that says it. But yeah, like ideally it's probably their CFO or somebody that works with it or somebody that just is an employee that just heard the news and like, what? That
What?
shit doesn't make sense.
Defies
14
reality.
billion. That defies reality.
Yeah. Can't be real. Mandela effect.
But I mean, it can be real, and they gotta be wary of that because like they make money. I mean, they make bank. They the $1 trillion company.
Yeah,
I
they over
mean,
there flexing, talking about they worth more than all the energy, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like I mean, they've been running around making a lot of money upselling the hell out of their products. I mean, charging a hella profit margin for themselves, and it's like from both ends. It's like if you're gonna overcharge something so that you can create a major profit margin, but then on the other side, when it's time to recoup or like bring that money back into society, you also cheat on bringing that money into society. You just getting it from both ends. You taking it from both ends. I mean, and at some
Yeah,
point, somebody
pause.
going to shut you down. Somebody going to come at you. I mean, what I want to, I like to see how they come at them. I mean, because essentially it's just negotiation tactics for real. Like, what can you really do? Even though you're the EU, what can you really do to stop my moves? And they can do regulation, and they have the enforcement of they have the executive branch to be able to enforce things. But I
Yeah,
want to see how they actually play this out for real.
how this
Like,
rolls out.
because it has an effect on other companies. They were also talking about there's other companies that do the similar thing. There's Starbucks, there's Fiat, some company called NG. I'm not really sure what they do, but Amazon as well. As we talking about Amazon, basically
Yeah,
they had to
ain't
pay
paid nothing.
nothing in taxes for the
We'll see
U.S.
how that
for
comes
like,
out in another 2 to 3 years, man.
I mean, out of $12 billion profit. I mean, like out of nowhere, like, and he's and he and what's the guy's name? I can't even remember his name now. The
Jeff
guy that
Bezos.
run Bezos, yeah, Jeff Bezos. Like he is considered the richest man in the world right now. Him and Bill Gates running back and forth on like who's rich. I'm rich today.
Right.
I'm the richest today. I'm the
Uh,
richest today. I mean, but like at some point, y'all gotta get that up. Bill Gates don't even care. Bill. Everybody know Bill be putting his money up at the fight. He put his money up to the cause.
yeah,
I mean, like however you
for
feel
sure.
about yeah. I mean, however you feel about the cause, you know that he putting his money up toward a cause. I mean, he's not just keeping it for
Yeah,
himself.
he ain't pocketing it.
Yeah, but like some of these companies that's just purely doing it for profit, and then when they try to do something for the people, they just do it for for a publicity shot, like them past articles I keep talking about
Yeah,
again.
they just,
I
what I mean,
mean, like,
quell the fight. You know what I mean? The energy.
yeah, like you gonna get somebody gonna have to bite you, because you playing around, and people don't like that ultimately. Like, even if you even if you got powers, even if you consider it hating, somebody's going to hate. If you consider it actually like putting money to good use and requiring people to actually pay their tithes. Yeah, I mean, because that's what that is. I mean, taxation is just the non-religious form of tithes
uh,
for real.
right.
Like, you
You
got
can
to
give
pay
more.
up.
What they call it, cheerful giving.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just bring it
Take
back to
out
the
more.
people, man. Come join us. Stop making silos over there. You like the Apple headquarters, that big old halo over there. Like they just separating everybody. They act like it's just them. I mean, like come join the crowd. It was like,
Yeah, they
well, give
definitely
us the
are the
money.
divas of the IT industry, man. No doubt.
Say it again.
Definitely the divas of the IT
Oh yeah,
industry,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. Div it out. Div it out. Let's go to this next article. Like, let's give him a applause. Let's not
Yeah,
talk bad about him. I'm gonna give him a applause for this one. I mean,
finally.
the Apple Watch saved a grandma's life by catching her heart condition. Um, if
It's
you
awesome.
if you've seen these new Apple Watches, for the most part, you already know that they do have this new functionality. They already do certain health things like tracking your steps. They can see like the oxygen levels in your blood and stuff like that based on the infrared signal that's on there. Um, similar to when you go to a hospital and they put that little rod on your finger, that little clip on your finger, and it lights up red. Essentially, that's essentially the same technology that's built into the back of a smartwatch to be able to, or an Apple smartwatch in particular, to be able to check your heart rate. And this woman by the name of Marie Bark, I'll just kind of Bork.
But
I'll say Bork.
yeah.
Um,
The cue of silence, a soft
yeah,
cue.
yeah, man, that's what I'm saying.
Barking.
I mean, at the age of 74, she had her Apple Watch on, and it alerted her to some irregular heartbeats. I guess she had like palpitations or like just heart murmurs or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They never said particularly what it was, but using this thing, she's went to the hospital immediately, and they say that it potentially saved her life from a heart attack. It saved her from having a stroke that could have happened, but because she had this watch, I don't know how. I mean, you can't. I'll say this: the Apple Watch did its job by that, but what I don't want people to potentially think with this Apple Watch is that like getting the watch will guaranteed save your life
Yeah. No.
from that. Like,
No, and I definitely think, I second that, man. Like, I think that, especially with people living we live in a fast paced society now, and I know I don't usually go to the doctors as much. You know what I mean? I be having aches and pains and stuff like that, but even with this accessibility to have a watch that be able to tell all these different things going on within my body, there's
mhm,
still a certain level of realness I have to say I need to have some type of human interaction intervention that if something's going on. And I think that at the same time, this does benefit in some way because there is this something that you kind of have on your side. You know what I mean? Because the Apple Watch, you're able to do a whole bunch of other things with it, but saying this is a good function to have because it may be something you overlooking. You know what I mean? I think that's probably the grandmother was 74 years old, so it's common that health issues happen at that age, but for it to be before be able to pinpoint something like that, it's going to show that that it's a step in the right direction.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
I do feel what you're saying at the same time. Like this is not like the main use of prevention. You know what I mean? If someone's
yeah,
having an asthma
exactly.
attack, something like that, you don't want to wait for your Apple Watch to confirm, oh yeah, he's running out of breath. Like, no,
Right,
you need to.
right. Because I mean, because yeah, there's multiple ways that you can potentially have a stroke, and like it may not be something that's a identifiable symptom from the heart, from the Apple Watch. Like the Apple Watch was able to identify a symptom that correlated with a potential stroke and heart attack, but it may not always be that symptom that be the
Mm,
one that identifies it. I mean, and it could be something else, like you said, the way that you're breathing. You can have a irregular heart rate based on your heart, like based on your breathing pattern, and
mm.
you can essentially just have a circulatory issue based on that. And your Apple Watch may not just be able to identify it. But I mean, I say this nonetheless. Having having the potential for more sensors is going to be a great idea, like a great idea to have. I still want to see, like, I don't like Apple being the company that is at the forefront of this because Apple is the most expensive product maker of like
Divas. Yeah.
yeah, like when it comes to fitness and health, like that stuff is way more serious than a luxury product.
Yeah.
And
Nah.
Apple isn't the company to be at the forefront of that when it comes to that because they don't take it that serious in that way. I mean, they take it more of it's serious on a extreme pay to play at a premium. You know what I
At a
mean,
premium.
yeah, I mean, and they try to make it like your health is a premium cost. Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
I'd rather be more about the person than how much the person has.
I think
I mean,
Toshiba would do an excellent job, like leading the front on something like this, because they made
yeah,
a good transition. I know we talked about that article before with they finding like they came up with technology to be able to find 13 different type of cancers in
mhm,
one drop of blood. Like
yep,
this, if they're making and that's making news like that, for them to come up with some technology to be able to do something as like expansive as that, I think they kind of have they've put themselves on the board for being a company that could potentially lead the cause on medical technology. You know what I mean? Like I think that that's something that that them jumping into that realm of like health and technology would be excellent because we talked about. I think there's a lot of uh, it's a lot of companies now that are like they're jumping to that. I know that Apple, or not Apple, Google, they just bought. We talked about that too with them jumping back
Yeah,
into Fitbit and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
I mean, I see where you see that it's definitely good to have. But at the same time, you want a company that they are willing to put reserve enough of their creative prowess to towards medical technology to lead the front on that. You know, what I mean, I think that Toshiba is one of them. Google, because they were in it, they actually have, of course, Google. Well, they're into everything, but Google had a history with Google Health before, so
yeah.
yeah, I think
You
it's
know,
definitely good.
I would consider that, like, I mean, Google has their own problems as well, but I would even consider Google to be in a better position to take health more seriously, because they can spin out health as just its own division and take it and like concentrate the ideology of like how to improve health technology in general. Like they already do collect data for, like, we had a past article talking about how they work with hospitals and medical centers for collecting data of people's health, and being able to correlate that data and make more sense of it for people to use, for doctors to use and whatnot.
Mhm.
They do have these health fit now, like like you said, since they did buy the Fitbit company, they have a dedicated uh, a piece of hardware or suite of hardware that allows them to um, to give to communities, to give to the consumers, to be able to start tracking themselves. And they don't just limit it to just those things. Like we said with the other company, the parent company, Alphabet, they have all these different initiatives. 23andMe essentially is a company that sort of spun out of Google. I think it's really Sergey Brin's wife who sort of started 23andMe, but 23andMe is like it's just a DNA genetics company that, you know, you collect your DNA and you find out more about your health issues and concerns. And then more than likely they spun it out of that because it was probably a big issue to have something like Google collecting your DNA. So
That's
they were
right.
like, it was like, "Yeah, let's just make this not a part of Google." I mean, like, we can do
Yeah.
this, but let's not do this with by Google. We'll get some people that are smart that have worked with Google. We might use Google data centers or whatever, but we're not going to just be a part of Google because we know the connotation that comes with that. But like, I
So
mean,
random.
Microsoft is in this business. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, too. Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
so like they're not slacking. What I did hear about was that people were coming out with the next sensor. They haven't started doing it, but they were talking about potentially having those earbuds be sensors because earbuds themselves, I mean, they're sitting in your ear. You can get your heart rate from your ear. I mean, you can get your temperature from your ear. You can tell like how hot you are, how whether you're potentially about to have like
You're going
a
to
fever
feverish
or something
temperature.
like that. It's a lot of data that you can get just by having that thing cupped in your ear like that, all the different
See the
nerves and
sinus infection
senses.
coming.
Yeah, it's like it's a lot of stuff you can get from that, and you can just have that in there. So I want to see what these companies continue doing going forward with these health-based devices. I mean, it's high
Mhm.
potential, and it's just starting off with small articles like this. Next thing you know, everybody will have these smart devices. Main thing they got to do is just figure out this whole battery issue. Um,
Yeah.
because like 8 hour, 18-hour battery life ain't popping.
It's not, yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah, that's not happening. There's a technology. I'll put this out there. They've been talking about coming out with these what they call solid state batteries. Um, I'll try to find an article one day and try to bring that up. But they got these new ideas for solid state batteries, which is usually the same thing as lithium ion, but it's solid and potentially less degradable because that was one of the main things that batteries degrade over time because it's just liquid. Um, but if it's a solid state, it has less potential to degrade, can hold more power and last longer.
Full more charge. Yep. I ain't
Uh,
gotta go back to the tricks of trying to freeze batteries and all that.
right, right, exactly. The last article that we got is why Apple iPhones may be banned from Russia next year. This article is basically a
banning y'all because y'all banned us. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
my bad. I
the
didn't mean to say something like that.
nah. I mean, it is though. That's the really reason. Like, it's really about like country pride, yo. That's all it really is. Like America, Apple is an American company, and Russia doesn't have any like technology companies on that level. And the idea to be able to, in order for them to be able to do that, they have to support themselves. And it's the same thing with China. This article is really like it's talking about why it may happen in next year. In other words, it basically hasn't happened yet, but what has happened is that the same situation has happened with China, where the issues with Huawei, which is like the biggest technology hardware consumer product maker in
Mhm.
China, has been disconnected basically in every way, shape, and form from the US. And because of that, because of all these bans and like the daughter of the CEO of Huawei traveled to Canada, and then like the US FBI, I want to say CIA, um, had Canada hold her. I mean,
Oh
had them
wow.
hold her and bring her to America because what they believed is that Huawei was taking trade secrets from America, using their technologies, using all these different switches and
Oh,
stuff.
Mission Impossible
It's
stuff, man.
it's a whole bunch of it's a whole bunch of devious like NSA James Bond type stuff that they are saying is happening, particularly with this new administration, the government that we have now against China. And Huawei always said that it was false. Nobody really has any definitive proof to say that any of this is true, but nonetheless, the regulations have come in place and they're banning them. So it's happening the same way, other way around. China is essentially banning America, um, and they're putting their blocks in the
And the
certain
power
places.
gonna block us and then be like, well, you can still, still gonna use y'all for your reason.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, you find they find they then they're looking for what are the hits that they can take that won't push them over the edge. I mean, like you hit me, I hit you. You hit me, I hit you. I mean, just don't punch me in my face. I mean, like, I mean, like, you punch me in my face, then we going all out war. So that's how that basically is. Like,
Going body, or we going body.
we going body. I mean,
Like a shirt, you better slap him in the face. Like, all right, really fighting now.
I'll be back, yo. Let me go to the truck real quick.
Crazy, crazy.
I mean, but like that's how that's essentially happening. And Russia is, I mean, when you think of the three top countries, you think America, China, Russia. Like those are the three dominants
Yeah.
that are out there. Like, the EU is the EU, but they became the EU as they, grouped up. Africa is Africa, but Africa does not consider themselves to be one unified
Yeah. Africa is
country.
a
I mean,
continent.
one
Yeah,
continent.
yeah,
They
yeah.
they consider themselves 54 countries with, a couple of partnerships within them. But when it comes to like three dominant locations, it's them. I mean, Canada, Canada's Canada. South America, but South America is sort of in the same
Yeah.
situation with,
South America is a place you just visit, man.
yeah, they have their own divisions. I mean, they got a lot of money, but they have their own divisions too. I mean, they have a lot of issues as well. I mean, a lot of unterrain, unfound territory. Like America, when it comes to America, we like stripped out a lot of areas, so we kind of know where everything is. There's those little duck offs here and there, but in a lot of places they haven't found everything yet. Yeah, I mean, so like there's stuff there, but they haven't civilized, they haven't like chopped down all the like right now the Amazon is burning away, but
Yeah.
it's not being stripped down to to have
Put the
like
build
s-
expand like so much.
skyscrapers put
Mhm.
in its place. I mean, so like if you're just traveling through the Amazon, you could easily get lost. Um, yeah, I mean, but like nonetheless, the whole Russia thing with that, I mean, I go on my tangents, but
Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
uh, the whole thing about like Apple not being able to do business in these countries is just really more of a trades issue. A lot of this, like I said, the whole import export thing that's happening is happening across the board and it's happening for everybody. And it's hitting Apple in multiple ways, but it's really about like where is this money coming in and out of? Like when we had the last administration, when we had Obama in there, like we had an ideology of trying to do international commerce.
And yeah, there you go. Yeah,
I
set it
mean,
up.
where it
Mhm.
was like there was fair attempts to be fair trade programs all around. We had NAFTA. I mean, we had like the Pacific trade system going on in the Pacific Ocean, but a lot of that has been shot down in a lot of
Halted.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with China doing their like Silk Road program, they kind of like don't even care about what we doing. So like,
And I think that messes things up, bro. Like when it goes to like an administrative level, because you never know that it's not. So it's two things that can happen when you are like conducting commerce with different countries like abroad. Is that you get an
mhm,
idea of where the people are as well because of what people what the consumer, what the idea of consumerism is there, and then two. Other countries have different resources. You know what I mean? Like, so I
right,
think it's a better way to do it in such a way where you're interacting with these other countries rather than you using war to raid these places and strip them of their resources,
right,
whether it be oil, natural resource, whether it be information, rather than using war to do that. You set up, a system where they're able to conduct commerce where everyone is able to benefit. It's one of
yeah.
those things where you that if you when you go about conducting commerce the proper way, man, it's like almost like it can be used as a sense of world peace. Everyone
Well,
can
we
benefit.
got the world's greatest businessman in the office right now. So, some of these things is just like he got negotiation powers and all that, whatever. But like I mean, it's the trade process has been really kind of messed up right now, and like it's been that way for a while. It's always kind of been a tricky system, and it's a system that does cause wars. Where they say war is a global economic phenomenon.
Mm.
I mean, like the concept of war just happening causes a lot of things to change in communities and society and economy in itself, where money is spent, where money goes, and what comes out of it. Like you said, resources are found, like all the way from like back in the day with the ships with spices and all this stuff that
Yeah.
these people were coming over with.
That's
I
what it is.
mean,
Some people will argue that the whole American Revolution was about him.
yeah,
That's
I mean, I
Canada this
mean,
week. You dig deep enough,
They
yeah.
they wasn't that pressed over no damn tea. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
something
yeah.
else going on. It wasn't just tea, man. They missed out on a whole lot of leaf. I
Right.
mean, like that's what that was. But like it's just the process of trade and being that it's the digital world, they're trying to be able to control that medium. And right now it's kind of an uncontrollable system. It's all interconnected. So how do you actually control was interconnected? You got to control the thing that gets you there. What's the thing that gets you to the internet? It's the devices. Well, who controls the devices? Oh, it's these American companies. Well, we can't have that. We got to have our own companies at least giving us access to the internet, because I mean that's how we keep our economy going. If we got to keep giving money to these other countries, we're just going to lose out, and they can't be in a position to lose out. China can't be in a position to lose out either, but they got 1.1 billion people, so they got the numbers. They
Yeah, they
going
got numbers, bro. They got
they going to do
mass.
gangbusters. They going to do gangbusters. You know what I mean? So like when it comes to China, I mean, when it comes to Russia, I think Russia is like 180, maybe under 200 million people. So I mean, they smaller than us, but they still have a lot of power, and they like right next to China, so they right next to Asia. Half of Russia is an Asian country. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so like
And
it's
plus,
split.
we didn't really got great history with either one of them. You know what I mean? We kind
Yeah,
of deal.
and they will definitely be like the enemy of my enemy is my friend if
Yeah,
need be.
yeah.
I mean, like they'll partner up and be like, you know what? I think we need to rebuild America.
Right.
I mean,
American soul needs to be colonized with a different ideology.
yeah, exactly. All I'm saying is, bruh, y'all know our story, man. Don't come at us.
Right. You
like
feel me?
walk
Look.
around us. We'll stand there. We'll stand there. Just be like, see you. Just don't come at us because we got our own issue that is not about what y'all got going on.
I just live here.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Just live here,
I
man.
did not come here through my own fruition. You know what I mean, send me back, bro. Send me back. I'll go. You know what I
But
mean, like,
speak to what you're saying, man. Like I think this is what gets given birth to, the what I call the digital financial underworld, cryptocurrency. You see what
oh
I'm
yeah,
saying? Find a way to. Like I told like a while ago. I have a on the corner when coming out of my complex, the
China
gas
is
station.
basically has their own
They have
cryptocurrency.
they have a Bitcoin like transference machine. Like I can trade in my dollars for Bitcoin, or I can like if I have Bitcoin, I can trade that in for like some cash. Like it's an actual thing. So you know what I mean? Although we are trying to through technology we're trying to prevent, that well not we, but they are different companies in different countries are trying to prevent, international trade and commerce for, just personal reasons. The people will, I think, always find a way to connect, you know what I mean, whether it be through socially or, financially. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whenever it's a demand, for something, somebody's gonna service it.
yeah. I mean, that's yeah, that's how the economy works. That's how capitalism works. Um, but let's go ahead and wrap this up. I feel like this has been a good set of topics. Like this is like the first time that I've enjoyed talking about Apple products and just Apple as a company. Mostly because they in detention right now. What it seems like they definitely like getting penalized left and right. But it's a lot better than the fluff pieces that they come out with and just talking about their how good their products are. But
Mm.
if anybody else likes this, also go ahead and do the damn thing. Go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, share. Um, we're on all the socials. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We are on all your podcast services. A lot of people tell me that they like Stitcher, so I definitely put it on Stitcher, but it's on the top three that I know of, which is the iTunes, Google Music, and Spotify. So go ahead and subscribe to those if you haven't subscribed already. And we got a lot more coming up for y'all in the near future. You got anything to say, Mike?
Nah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head, man. Y'all know what to do, man. Look, I like what y'all hear. I mean, the numbers are increasing, so interact with us, man. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you think, what you want, things you want to hear about us. Even if you have a topic or something like that you want us to cover, you can put it in the comment or something like that. Shoot us an email. So wherever you're trying to be, we're there. So
Yeah,
just like, comment, subscribe, man. That's all I got.
yeah. I'm gonna update the sites in a couple. I'm gonna add on contact forms for each of the shows. I have a general contact form on the website if y'all see it, but I'm gonna probably just make a specific one just for each individual show if anybody wants to contact us from the website. But always, yeah, you can go ahead and comment under this under the post on the socials or anything like that. We read the comments. But yeah, man, go enjoy yourselves. Thanks for listening to another show of the Apple Advisory and stay informed, people.
There you go. Peace.